Hello, everybody. Hi, I'm Joel, Daddy Property Chef. Okay, so today's question. The worrying problem about the $1 million HDB. Okay, how come I'm talking about this topic? What happened was my dear friend Sam actually asked me this question. Let me just share with you. Sam, what's your question? Okay, so inside our SG Property Guide, for those of you who still don't know about it, right? So for SG Property Guide, it's a new Facebook group that Sam and I actually created to help people understand more about Singapore property. Okay, so questions are being posted here. Sometimes questions that were PM to me, right? I'll answer them as well. So this is a platform for everybody to get answers about the Singapore property trends, how to find the good housing. But one thing I want to share with you all, for those of you who have joined this group, right? This is not a platform for advertisements. So even myself as the founder, I will not post my listings or any new launches inside this group. Okay, this is not a group for advertising. It's a group for everybody to come together, get their questions answered, and then we help more people. Okay, so the question that Sam asked, okay, there's actually two parts to the question. Okay, the greatest concern for Singaporeans. Question number one is, why do some people want to pay 1 million for HDB flat? Okay, well, that's why the title, the worrying trend of the $1 million property. And when prices of flats continue to escalate, how can our children and grandchildren afford to buy a flat? Okay, so I'm here to answer this question. But as you all know, right? As you all know, I'm someone who always use facts and figures. I don't like to talk just by word of mouth. Okay, so I'm going to share with you all some things. Okay, first, why do people buy more and more HDB flats at higher price? Okay, so let's have a look at the historical trend. Trend over the last 10 years. Okay, from 2012 to 2022. Okay, this is the sales volume and then the per square foot. You all will notice the per square foot for average per square foot for HDB housing actually start to rise up. These 2 years, you can see the average price start to rise up these 2 years. You can see the average per square foot. Suddenly we broke the 500 figure. So over the last 10 years, right, it was very stable at around 400 plus all the way. This whole Singapore average price until it start to break 500 this year. This is based on our this is for all types of HDB flats, including all sales, which means BTOs, resale, okay subsale okay, subsale as well. So you realize one thing, let's have a look at the resale. Okay, let's look at the resale. I especially want to touch on the resale. You all can see, right, from 2020 upwards, right, the sales of resale actually spiked up tremendously. It was holding quite stable from 2014 all the way until the year of the COVID. And then everything went crazy. Everything went crazy, including the sales volume, the per square foot, all this. Okay, you can see we have even hit thousands every month. Thousands of resale unit every month. Thousands. Okay, before that, thousands, but price holding steadily. Okay, so one big issue. Why did the price start to spike so much during the COVID period? I will always say, as a property agent, 2 two things that affects buyers buying when it comes to buying. First, fear, and then second, greed. Okay, obviously during COVID, we don't talk about greed, right? We don't talk about greed, but we talk about fear. During COVID, there was this uncertainty as to for the new houses, right? Especially the BTOs, there was this worrying trend. Previously, now almost all the articles cannot be found already. But if you monitor the news during that time, right? HDB flats, BTOs need around 5. There was some ridiculous ones. They need even up to 7 years before you can collect keys, you know. But interestingly, all these news are now gone. Even those that the comments were made by our ministers, right? Now all of them are gone. We cannot find them anymore. So I don't want to go too much into that. But you imagine if you are looking for a new home to start your family, and suddenly people can tell you, wow, you need to wait for 8 years before you can collect your keys. 7 or 8 years before you can collect your keys to your new home. What does that signify? If you are a young couple getting married this year, waiting for 8 years before a new house come, right? By then, maybe your child is already in primary school, you know. So that's why a lot of people were worried. And it's not helping because the income ceiling has increased. Okay, income ceiling has increased. And so what does income ceiling have to do with all this? Because of the fact the government grant, right, housing grant for youngsters have increased. And with the rising of the income ceiling, right, more and more people are eligible for the housing grant, which is significantly more. Because I remember when I purchased my first BTO, I think it was in 2004. 2004. You see, it's not even covered in this trend just now. Our housing grant was maximum 30,000 for resale flat, but for me and my wife, we bought a BTO so no grant. But now currently it's 50,000 grant for HDB flat, and if you stay near parents, right, you are eligible for another minimum 20,000 grant. If it's a family nucleus, if it's single, you are still eligible for 10,000. If you are staying with your parents, that means your parents are staying together with you, you are eligible for 30,000 grant. So can you imagine? That's a significant jump, you know. That's a significant jump. So with the fear of not being able to secure housing and the opportunity given by the government because of the housing grant, a lot of young people or new citizens are actually turning to resale flats. They're turning to resale flats. Okay, this caused a tremendous spike in the resale market. Let's have a look. Okay, there's this thing called the resale price index. If those of you who are not familiar, right, basically it provides information on the general price movements in the public housing market. Okay, I want to show you guys this. Yes, under the data.gov.sg, okay, it's our government website. So let's see, resale price index. Is this it? Yes, we actually have from year 1990. 1990 was when the first HDB resale pricing were being recorded, and they have set a benchmark. Okay, it's okay it's okay for you not to really understand what the index means, but okay, let's say today we have a ruler. So from 2009, right? 2009. Okay, it's like the graph. So 2009 first quarter was marked as the middle line. Okay, middle line. So it's at 100. You can notice, right, except for the 1 quarter before that it broke 100. Basically, anything before 2000 was well within the 100 range. That means the price was so-called to value. Let's say to value. Okay, the growth is normal, okay, or even dropping. But ever since 2009 onwards, right, you can see the graph until 2013 when 2013 started, the price drop all the way until 2020, year of COVID again. You all realize why or not? Because first and foremost, 2013 was when the biggest cooling measure came in. For those of you who don't remember, right, let me refresh you. Okay, there were few rounds of cooling measures then. First, PRs are allowed to buy a condo. Okay, you buy your HDB flat owners, PR HDB flat owners are allowed to buy a condo, but you can only lease out your HDB flat. That means now you own two property. Okay, you can only lease out your HDB flat for up to 5 years. Okay, that was the first ruling, first cooling measure. Secondly, PR HDB owners, right, after buying a condo, right, cannot rent out your HDB flat. So you think about it, now you own two property, right, but the first property you cannot rent out. Does it make sense or not? It may not make so much sense. So the purchase for HDB flats slowly slow down. Then followed by the third cooling measure. The third measures on PRs purchasing HDB flats. There is the fact that now PRs buying HDB flat, right? Sorry, buying PR HDB owners who now bought a private condo, right, must immediately sell off their HDB flat within 6 months. So now you cannot own two properties already. Oh, interesting. Everybody thought that all these are the biggest cooling measures for HDB resale, but it wasn't. To me, we actually discovered one of the biggest issue was when resale valuation change hands from seller to buyer. So what happened was when resale HDB flats, right, last time when we were selling them, we as owners will do the valuation first. So example, today I value my house is valued at 500,000. So the owner can say, oh, I want 530,000 for my HDB flat. If you don't give me 530,000, I'm not going to sell to you, because we know the value of our house. But then came this issue whereby HDB changed for valuation from owner to buyer. So nowadays, for those of you who have purchased recently, right, you all will be very familiar. Nowadays, owners don't know how much their house is actually worth. They can get an independent valuer to help them do a valuation, but that valuation report will not hold grounds, okay? Because the final say is by HDB. So what happened now is, today you sell off your house. Let's say I want to sell my house at 500,000 because my neighbor sold at 480, right? So I sell my house at 500,000. What will happen? The buyer agrees to buy my house at 500,000, then go and apply for a valuation. Then they pay money for this valuation report, right? But valuation goes to the valuer comes to value the house, but the valuation report goes to HDB instead of the buyer. So the buyer also don't know what is the actual valuation of the house. The buyer also don't know the actual valuation of the house. So what happens? Then HDB will tell you, oh, the price match or don't match. So who has the final say? I think it's clear enough. So with this pricing dropped a lot. Pricing actually dropped a lot. Oh, from 2013 all the way up, as you all can see in the graph. Okay, so from 2013 onwards, right? Because of this thing, pricing drop. Why? Because now owner don't know how much is the value of their house. Buyer, once they know the value, right? If they need to pay COV, cash over valuation, they don't buy. But interestingly, in 2020, right, we start to hear the term COV again. Why? Because everybody is now afraid, Everybody is afraid that they cannot get to buy a house. Then with the housing grant from the government, right, up to 80,000. COV, never mind, we buy first because I'm scared later no house. Then they rush in to buy. You can see the housing index now spike up to a new height. Okay. When was the last hike? 2013, then all the way drop until now coming back. And will we go even further? My short answer to that is yes, it will still go on further for a while, but is the trend going to end? My short answer for that also is it should be lah. I mean, for 2 whole years, everybody is buying like nobody's business, you know. We really have so many HDB buyers in Singapore, man. And now the borders are open up already. I mean, for Malaysians PRs, right? One thing about Malaysian PRs, a lot of people were saying, right? A lot of people were saying, Malaysian PRs, they now border open up already. Why they need to buy HDB flat? But may I remind you all this thing, let me check on this. I think I did a series on this also. Malaysians, Malaysia tax on CPF. Yeah. Okay, this is the one. Okay. So what is this? Okay. What happened was there is this okay, this important thing, Malaysians that reach retirement age in Singapore can withdraw savings from their CPF funds, PRs for the PRs. But this saving will now be subject to income tax if they bring any of it back to Malaysia. So you tell me one thing, Malaysians, right, if they have a lot of savings in their CPF, will they bring the money back to Malaysia or not? Then why not they just use the money to purchase a HDB flat? And the HDB flat, right, once they retire back in Singapore, Malaysia, right, they can use the HDB flat to rent out and then collect income and not be taxed by their government. If you were them, would you do the same thing? I think I will. So will Malaysians stop buying HDB flat? I think that question answers it. But thanks to Malaysia government. Okay, so you see with all these things, tell me, will HDB prices suddenly drop overnight? I don't think so, you know. I don't think so. Then we look back at the housing pricing. You know, last time, when my parents' time, right, 4-room flats was sold. My mom bought a 4-room flat in Choa Chu Kang, brand new for 90,000. That was, how was I? 1992, if I didn't remember wrongly. So in 2004, that is 12 years later. Was that 12 years later? Yeah, 12 years later, I purchased a 5-room flat in Choa Chu Kang, a sales of balance unit at 237,000. Currently, the 5-room flats in Choa Chu Kang BTO, right, they are asking for around 400. Okay, but resale flats, of course, will be even higher. So to answer Sam's question, right? Okay. So I answer question number 2 first. When prices of flats continue to escalate, how can our children and grandchildren afford? So you see, my mom bought at 90, I bought at triple the price. Currently, it's about double. So flat houses will just keep going up. But of course, remembering one thing, during my time, income ceiling for BTO was 8,000. Yeah, 8,000. Then currently it's 14,000. What does this tell you also? It also tells you that, I mean, of course, not everybody is going through the same thing, but the basic income, right? Basic income for most families although most of us will not accept it, okay, but it's rising. It's actually rising. You can see from the income ceiling. Government will not be considering all this, right? No, will not be making all these decisions and price changes without considerations. So do understand one thing, everything is increasing except for agents commission. Agent commission never go up. Now still 2%. for most people. I know there are some that charge 5% already. I'm not going to name names. Anyway, so you see when the prices of flats continue to escalate, unfortunately, salary also increase. And you must understand one thing. Then we come back to the first question. Why do some people want to pay 1 million for HDB flats? You must understand, those houses that hit 1 million, right? Very simple. It's either the location is fantastic. Example, Pinnacle at Duxton. Okay, I think this is a HDB flat that really deserves the $1 million mark. It's in town, for God's sake. It's in town, you know. Then, secondly, like, okay lah, places like Boon Keng, places like this where Skyview at Dawson, all these the newer ones, right? Yeah lah, location still not so bad. Then all these due to location, we don't want to say too much. Bishan, I don't know why. I don't know why. We broke the 1.2 million mark. I don't know why. But and it's not even near the MRT station. You realize one thing, most of these HDB flats are not near the MRT station. But Pinnacle Duxton is good. Okay, anyway. Then the other question is the bigger sizes on the outskirts, the OCRs. You see jumbo flats, large housing. Because why? They are no longer, you can no longer find houses of this size. So these houses, right, people pay for the size. They are not paying for the location, obviously. They are paying for the size because they know $1 million cannot buy anything. Let me share one thing with you. 12 years ago, when I first launched my first private condo, right, I joined my first new launch. 3 bedrooms were at 1,002 square feet, you know. Granted lah, with balcony lah, it was 1,002 square feet. Look at the 3 bedrooms now. When you enter a show flat, we have 800 plus. We even have 600 plus, you know. So yes, the pricing wise, it went up. The size went smaller. So if people are purely buying for size, well, the recognition that the value is based on size by these people is still there, you see. So now I just purely want to pay for space. I purely want to pay for space. Fair enough. Okay, so not everybody can afford such big sizes, I would say. But if you were to ask me, right, is this just a passing trend, or will it carry on? I'll tell you, it will carry on because people will pay for space. People pay for space, okay? And they pay for location. But for those who are buying ridiculously high prices, right? My 2 cents worth is maybe to them, money is not an issue lah. They are using money to replace in exchange for some things like convenience, all this all that we cannot. I don't wish to comment. Ultimately, it's their choice. But at the end of the day, will they profit from the house? I will tell you no. My honest feel is no, they will not. Unless the lease of the house is pretty new, they may wait out, okay? And the price may carry on to increase due to inflation. But if you would ask me, for those very old houses, right, less than 60 years, you want to buy at $1 million, then I can tell you already, these buyers are not caring about value. They don't care. They're just using money to exchange for something like maybe convenience, size, space. They don't care. They don't care anymore. Okay, it's not about money anymore to these people. But for those who treasure value, right, you know, I always speak about the ACE Prudency test. None of the older houses will pass the ACE Prudency test one. They will never pass the ACE Prudency test. So basically, now there's 2 schools. People just want to use money to exchange for what they want. These people are buying for wants, and those buying for needs. So you have to decide which group you come from or which group you are in when it comes to purchasing a house. So in short, right, why do people want to pay $1 million for HDB flat? They are buying once. Okay, don't need to think us anymore. They are just buying once. People who need will never buy 1 million. Okay, it's once. Okay, so when prices of flats continue to escalate, right, how can our children and grandchildren afford to buy a flat? I already answered. Prices will just keep going up, inflation, everything, but so will salary. And not forgetting one thing, I always say this, 价钱是人买出来的。The seller can price the property at this, but it's the buyers who acknowledge the seller's demand. You can don't pay. A lot of properties are asking for 1 million, but how many are really being transacted? You have to ask yourself this thing. You have to really ask yourself this thing. Okay, it's always a supply and demand situation. If today nobody buys, then there'll be no selling at this price. Okay, so with that, I hope I answered your question. Sam, I hope it also covers everything that you all need to know. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to post it in SG Property Group. And at the same time, you can also PM me. I will do my best to answer your question. Okay. With that, thank you very much. This is Daddy Property Chef. I'm Joel. Let's make you do well. Bye-bye.